I'm Victoria. I want to talk to you today about signing, and signing in particular with children who you're hoping to promote language development with. Signing can form a really vital gap in that stage where a child really wants to learn to communicate, but they haven't yet got the physical capacity or capability to do so. Often what we find is that young children, babies, or older children, depending on their developmental stage, make sounds to us in a desperate bid to communicate, but that we as adults can't understand what those sounds mean. We know our child is trying to tell us something, but we don't know what it is that they're trying to tell us. For the child, that can be really frustrating, and certainly for children with communication difficulties, that can cause a reluctance to try out those sounds continually if they're continually not being understood. If we teach them basic signs, they can pair those signs alongside the sounds that they're making, meaning they get immediate recognition and we can immediately understand what it is they're trying to tell us. And it's for that reason that research shows us that using sign language with babies and with children who are older but who are trying to develop their language really can help to kick-start verbal language development for them. It gives them far more motivation because they're immediately getting that recognition that they so desperately want, that we understand that they're trying to tell us something. So please, if it's something you've been sitting on the fence with, if it's something you've been thinking about, but you're worried and you've been concerned and people are saying to you, well, is it going to affect their language? Is it going to affect their spoken language? Do you not think they'll start to rely on signs? Please be confident and know that there is no research at all out there that shows that. Quite the opposite. All the research that there is shows that using signs can really, really help your child to develop spoken language and to do so confidently. For me as a mum, it's one of the best things I've ever done. I'm not good at being frustrated, I'm not good at not knowing what my children are trying to tell me, and it's really made parenting so much easier because I've known from being tiny babies what they want. From being 9 months in the case of my son, from being about 11 months in the case of my daughter. They've been able to sign using basic signs to me, and when they've got to the stage of trying to talk, those words have been paired with the signs. In the case of my little boy, it's been particularly helpful because we're raising him bilingual. And it's meant that when his dad said a word in Spanish, he's been able to pair it with the sign. When I've said a word in English, I've been able to pair it with the same sign. And he's immediately got that link between those two words meaning the same thing. So for us, it's been massively helpful. There's one major caveat, all right? Whenever you use a sign, you need to pair it with the spoken word. Because if you do that, that's what your child will do as well. Initially, it will probably just sound like a sound alongside the sign, but gradually that sound will sound more and more like the word that it's supposed to be. When you're deciding which signs to introduce, try and pick the ones that you think your child will be most interested in. We all know the goal will be wonderful to have them telling us that they're hungry, thirsty, tired, whether they're in pain, and of course that's something we would like them to do eventually. But initially, you've got to remember that they don't know you're going to understand them. So you need to think about signs that will be intrinsically motivating to them to learn. For instance, if you've got a dog and your child is really excited when the dog comes into the room, start to use the dog sign. If your child gets really excited whenever they see a bus when you go out, use the bus sign. Each week I'll introduce you to 4 or 5 different signs, and you can look and see which of those are relevant to your child at which time. Once they've mastered those first 4 and 5, introduce more gradually in and amongst your day. We'll also give you each week a song, a relevant song that you can sing with your child to help them to learn and become familiar with those signs. It won't on its own teach them the sign. It may teach them the action, but it won't teach them the context. So as well as giving them that exposure via the song, Make sure that you're using that sign regularly in your everyday life, as often as possible. Whenever that item appears or comes into your context of your everyday life, make sure you use that opportunity to really exploit it, to add that sign in, to get the word in there, and to really get that repetition there and getting your child really, really familiar with that sign. When they sign it back to you, don't expect it to be perfect. Keep an eye out, watch for them doing something similar. So for instance, both of mine, although the real sign for dog is this, I've initially signed it like that. Okay, so there's often variations in how they do it, and just like their spoken language, the sign will get more and more accurate over time. If you have any questions, please do get in touch with me via social media, and I'll be more than happy to help you get you started on your sign language journey. Lovely to talk to you. Bye bye.